I'm very grateful for Minister Hayes' presence, but I'm very disappointed that none of the substantial number of ministers in the Department of Health is available to answer this question, or indeed in the Department of Children. But that's no disrespect to you, Minister Hayes, and I think you know that, and I do appreciate that you're here. I'm here this morning, and I'm very grateful to Cathaoirleach for giving me the opportunity to raise this issue again of the whole area of special needs assistance, particularly in County Meath. And the reason why I raise it in the context of County Meath is because each county appears to have a different system in relation to the provision of SNAs to preschool children. And in County Meath there has been some provision over the last 20 years or so. Other counties have no provision, and other counties have some supports available. But there seems to be, in County Meath, an ad hoc approach is taken every year in relation to this. So this year there has been a battle in order to secure some funding to maintain services that are already there, despite the fact that the Minister for Health, who is responsible for this as it happens, the Minister for Health has boasted of an increased health budget and that the cuts are over. But the cuts are not over in the Department of Health and the HSE in relation to the provision of preschool SNAs in County Meath. Now, what's happening, as I understand it, maybe the Minister can confirm this, that the sum of 197,000 has been allocated for special needs assistance for next year. That will not be enough to maintain the current level of services that are there, particularly with the amount of children coming through the system that will need assistance. There is also the possibility of assessment coming in, and I don't know how that's going to impact on the provision of SNAs. But one of the most worrying things about this is, and this is now a feature of the HSE and the Department of Health over recent months, is that we're told that the money that's coming, the 197,000, is coming from home care packages. So just like we had with the story of John Duggan and the Soliris drug, that if John is to get his drug, somebody else would have to suffer. I know the special needs children of County Meath and their parents have been told, but somebody else is going to have to suffer for you to get what you need. It used to be suffer little children, but now it's probably elderly people who are going to suffer, and the HSE is making that very, very clear. I think that's very, very unfair. But I'd like to know the government's exact plans for this, because it is a Department of Health responsibility. What are the exact plans? The parents need some clarity. They're meeting tonight to try and come up with ideas themselves as to how the budget should be allocated, and I think that's an awesome responsibility that the HSE appears to have passed on to them, actually. What do you want to do with the money? And that's not the way, and that will be typical now of the HSE, because they've lost control of their budget, so they don't have responsibility for the money anymore, and they're able to wash their hands of it. If Fianna Fáil comes back into power, we'll be giving that control back to the HSE, because they need to be making the decisions, listening to people, of course, but they shouldn't be putting that responsibility onto others, because it's a very difficult thing to do. Now, the other point I'd like to make is the very fact that the Department of Health is involved in this area is an anomaly in itself. So you have the Department of Health responsible for preschool SNAs, you have the Department of Children obviously responsible for children, you have the Department of Education responsible for the curriculum in preschools, you have TUSLA involved, you have PUBL involved. So you have a multitude of agencies involved in the provision of preschool education in this country, and that's wrong, and we're going to have to get a joined-up approach, and that joined-up approach has been sorely lacking. But particularly here this morning on the issue of SNAs, parents need certainty, parents need information, and some children, a substantial number of children, will need help next year, and we've got to ensure that the government maximises the resources and allocates them fairly to enable those children to get the best possible start.
Sir.
Yeah, I wish to thank Senator Byrne for raising the matter which I'm replying on behalf of Cathy Beach to the Minister of State with special responsibilities. The issue of the participation of children with disability in preschools is a cross-cutting issue involving a number of stakeholders: the Department of Children and Youth Affairs, Health, Education Skills and the HSE. The free preschool year is provided through the Early Childhood Care and Education Programme, which is the responsibility of my colleague, the Minister for Children and Youth Affairs. The objective of this scheme is to make early learning in a formal setting available to eligible children in the year before they commence primary school. While the HSE has no statutory obligation to provide support for children with special needs wishing to avail of the free preschool year, it works at local level and in partnership with the relevant disability services provider to address individual needs as they arise. This is done in a number of ways, such as funding special preschools that cater specifically for children with disabilities. In some limited cases, at local level, HSE disability services have also facilitated children with disability to attend mainstream preschools by providing funding for preschool assistance support where possible. I understand in this context that the HSE Meath disability services provide a preschool assistance subsidy in cooperation with Enable Ireland Meath Early Services. This subsidy assists towards the cost of obtaining a preschool assistant for a child with a disability. I am advised by the HSE that the current demand for this subsidy exceeds available resources. As you will appreciate, the HSE is obliged to continually review all its existing funding arrangements to ensure that services are provided within available resources. The HSE Meath Disability Service has confirmed that it will provide funding for the preschool support service for the academic year of 2015 and 2015-16 from within its approved budget. With the growing number of children availing of this service in recent years, the HSE has been examining how these supports are allocated in order to ensure that the approved level of funding is used to best effect on the basis of need. The Executive has indicated that a review process involving the payment of a subsidy will be put in place in respect of 2015-2016. The objective of this will be to prioritise children based on their identified needs and to maximise the number who can be supported. This may, for example, involve a preschool assistant supporting 2 children attending the same preschool where this is feasible and in line with the assessed needs. The HSE is currently involved in a major reconfiguration of its therapy resources for children and young people with disabilities as part of the National Programme of Progressing Disability Services for Children and Young People between ages of young to 18. This programme, when fully implemented, should mean greater equity in assessing therapy services based on need, clearer referral pathways and improved collaboration between the sectors. An additional €4 million, equating to approximately 80 additional therapy posts, were specifically allocated in 2014 to drive implementation of the programme. A further additional investment of €4 million will be made in the programme in 2015. This equates to €6 million in a full year. This programme is already well advanced in County Meath. At national level, the Department of Children and Youth Affairs, Education, Skills and Health are actively looking at the issue of integration of children with disabilities into mainstream preschool settings, informed by work undertaken by the cross-sectoral team on children's disability issues.